Okay, so let's start painting. Now, Delta Ceram Coat, as I mentioned before, Spice Tan. I think it's fairly close to Japanese skin tone. So, all I do, just shake it up, and it comes in this convenient squirt bottle. And I just need a little drop, that's all. So, my little water bottle here. Just need to get a tiny little bit of water. There. And then mix it up. So, I have found it's better to do the small enclosed areas first and then work around it. So, that's why I want to do the face first. Looks pretty good. So I'll let it dry and then go over it a second time because the white from the prime still comes out a little bit. So the primer helps the paint to stick better instead of just painting directly onto the plastic. Also, since this was a dark plastic to begin with, putting on a base white will make the colors much more vibrant. So I finished painting the face. Looks pretty nice. Just 2 coats and that was it, really. That's the easy part. So I found that it's easier to paint this small part in the middle and then paint the outside around it instead of trying to paint a smaller part that's surrounded by area that's already been painted. So as for the rest of the coloring, what I want to do is it'll be a black helmet. I want to have gold horns, just like the example, and then it'll be like a little gold crest on the helmet. This will be just a gold circle. So a lot of the photographs I've seen on the internet for samurai armor and such, it's pretty basic. And like this might be just totally just a black tunic or whatever it's called, a black coat. However, I want to go for more of the Akira Kurosawa / anime / video game kind of a look to it. What I would like to do is give him like a red coat, and maybe with black trim. And on the back, this will be black with gold. I think that'll look pretty cool. So I just have regular red, opaque red, Delta Ceram Coat paint for that, and black. And I think for maybe his trousers and his shirt, I'll use this antique gold because it's kind of like a straw colored. I think that might look pretty nice. I am now proceeding to paint black. Now you can see it's certainly not perfect, but that's okay. You make it perfect with subsequent paint layers. So the trick is you don't want to glob too much paint all on at once. You see a bunch of white is peeking through, it's okay, you get to it later. That's not the point. The point is just to put down just a layer, and then layer after layer, then you'll get the desired look. And of course this is going to be black as well. All of this, and on the armor here, the armored skirt, and his legs. All along here and in the back here too. So with patience, with coat after coat, it starts to come together. Now this down here, I'm really satisfied. This looks really nice. This needs to be gone over a few more times. Black armor here, looks pretty nice. The feet, the boots are starting to get better. So there's a little bit I need to work on though. What I'm doing here, you get a very, very fine pointed brush. And you get in here very carefully. Now what I'm going to do is paint this, the chin strap to his helmet very carefully. Very, very, very carefully. There. So, you'll notice I'm using my pinky finger. Touch this to kind of solidify my hands a bit. There. Sometimes I might, use both hands here. There, because if you try to go like this, it gets kind of difficult to control. It's good to brace at least a finger against something. So, looks pretty nice. Now one thing I need to do also is paint along up in here along the top inside of the helmet. Again, just be very careful. Very, very, very carefully. There. Nice. That looks pretty nice. So, okay, well I might call this a night. I don't know. I might work on this some more later on tonight. But so far, looking pretty badass. I like those horns. Pretty cool, huh? So, actually, since I have this small, fine detail, I can get in here more. There. Maybe in the crest here. Cool. Nice. So now, I'm not painting his helmet because I want to paint that like a semi-gloss. Might look pretty cool that way. So, and I'm going to do a semi-gloss with the armored plates for his body here. So it look like there's two different types of armor going on at the same time. And to do that, I'm going to use semi-gloss black Tamiya, and you know, if you're in America or wherever, you can use Testers. I think Testers has a semi-gloss black. If not, just get gloss and flat and mix them together. Problem solved. So the black is finished. It looks really nice. Okay, next is antique gold. There. And then thin it out with water. Doink. And then start painting. Now, if I accidentally go over the black, I can maybe try to wipe it off with my finger. If not, I can just let it dry and then go over it with black. So I probably want to do this before I do his coat, because, as I said before, it's easier to do a smaller confined area first and then do the larger area outside it. I feel more or less satisfied. I might do a little bit of touch-up work. Now, there are some places where I went over the black, so I'm going to have to just touch that up with black. But for the most part, it's turned out pretty nice. There's something that's bothering me. I didn't notice it before, and maybe I can get it so that the light, yeah, the shadow will pick it up. You see, there's this part, this seam line right here. It kind of goes down along his thumb. That was really bothering me, and I didn't really notice it until I had it all painted up. So what I think I'll do is just kind of scrape it with an X-Acto knife. Now of course I'll have to repaint this part, but I just want to kind of flatten it out a little bit. Yuck. Just use my X-Acto blade as a type of a file. Just reapply paint. So yeah, I would recommend filing that or something before assembly. Gonna be painting red. Again, I'm using Delta Ceramic Coat, opaque red. Gotta paint this guy's coat. So I'm just using a very broad brush to paint with. This is the same brush that I used to do the priming. So because this is a very wide area, I can just use a broad brush and cover more area quicker. So I kind of want to overlap, even though I'm going to be painting gold around that circle area. I want to overlap it though, because if there's any space in between, it's going to show up white, and that's not going to be so cool. This guy's looking pretty nice. So it's taken a little while, just letting it dry and coming back to it. I thickened the paint up a little bit since the first application that you saw. So, again, these Delta Ceramic Coats are really great acrylic paints. They're really excellent for hand brushing. Tamiya acrylic paints, on the other hand, they're okay for for airbrushing and such, but for hand painting, they're kind of a little lacking. They show brush marks really easily. They don't, the paint doesn't auto-level as well as this stuff does. The Delta SRAM coats, I've noticed that the quality is maybe slightly inconsistent. Some paints they seem to be better than others. On occasion, I have repurchased a bottle of paint because the one I have, it didn't really apply very well at all. But overall, these are really good paints, and for figures, they're excellent. So, looking great. What I had to do last was, I had the alligator clip holding this boot into place, so I took that off and then I painted here. I've also painted his eyes. Now, how I did that was I just got, this is just a magic marker, Magistar Slim, and this is, point, I don't know how many millimeters it is, but it's just one of these type pens. So I dotted where I think the eyes should be, and then I used the fine-tipped paintbrush to use the regular black paint, just the Delta SRAM coat paint. So, I am now done with the acrylics, and what I want to do before I go any further is to seal the paint, because acrylic paint can be damaged very easily. You can scratch it off with your fingernail. It's not good. So, I'm going to use Top Coat, Mr. Hobby Top Coat. This is an acrylic sealer, and this is flat. One more thing I will be working on, actually I forgot to mention this, I have painted the hilt of this sword here, and this one here. I've painted it black, so I'm going to be sealing that as well. Okay, so here I am on the front steps of my apartment. Just been shaking this up for about a minute. You don't have to do this, you just shake it back and forth like that. Okay. So, I'm just going to leave my little friend here on the styrofoam, and I got the two sword hilts on these bamboo skewers. So, I'm going to be putting this mask on. Now, since this is acrylic, it shouldn't be toxic. So, maybe it doesn't say anything about this being toxic, because it is acrylic. If it's lacquer, you definitely want to keep, have a really good mask. So, Tim, in your case, you might just wear just a, those allergy masks that you can get easily at drugstores in Japan. So anyhow, I'm going to put this mask on and spray the little guy here. Okay, so I'm gonna just let this dry for about, I don't know, about a half hour or so. Flip it over. Okay, now I'm gonna turn this guy over and paint. Try to put his back.
There, done.
Next we're going to be using semi-gloss black. Again, this is an enamel paint, so I'm going to have to use enamel thinner. So let's stir this up. So it'll have a nice shiny effect without being totally shiny like a sports car or something. So let's drop in some enamel thinner to thin it out a little bit so it doesn't go on too thickly. Let's just do one drop for now. See how it looks. Move the light here. There. This might be pretty nice. Okay. Get my paintbrush here. And I'm going to paint the breastplate here. Now there's a couple of tassels here, and I'm not sure what color I ought to choose for those tassels. Maybe I might make them red to match his tunic, maybe. So, see if I can get this in here. Splurge. There we go. Okay, so his breast armor is completed. Didn't really have to do more than one coat. It just all kind of went on real easily. So, next is going to be the helmet. So, like this middle circle part here is going to be gold. So, I'll see if I can just avoid that. And also the horns are going to be gold as well. So, I'm going to do my best to try to avoid those parts. So I'll just go back in later and paint the gold. Okay, so Paul the Samurai here is looking pretty nice so far. You see his breastplate armor has a bit of a different sheen than everything else does. It's a little bit glossier, but not too glossy. So again, the white parts are going to be gold. Back of his helmet, pretty awesome. Now here I'm going to be doing gold for that leaf design. And if I pull it off right, it's going to look pretty awesome. Alright, so sword. There. Bear with me. Alright, so this is silver paint. This is Testers Silver. There. Cool, huh? There. I'm not going to bother thinning it because it's such a tiny area, at least the crest on the back. Let me wipe this off before it solidifies, before it dries. There, I got most of it. Alright, so again, I'm going to use my super fine tip. I'm going to paint the back crest here. Nice. Alright, for cases like this is where this thing comes in. See, it's got a magnifying glass. I can see a lot easier, so I'm going to have to switch this off because there's no way I can record myself doing this at the same time as painting it. Okay, while it's not perfect, it looks pretty nice. I might touch up a little bit with the red paint later on, but for the most part it's pretty great. So, I'm going to use the big brush to brush on the horns. Okay, what do you think? Looks pretty cool, huh? So the silver and the gold are both gloss paints, and the breastplate is the breastplate and the helmet are both semi-gloss. So those are enamel paints, so they will not require any clear coats because enamel paints dry pretty hard. So I'm just going to leave this guy alone, and there might be a couple little touch-ups here and there to do, but I should be attaching the sword to his... he's got like a long sword and a short sword. So referencing the picture I just showed you, I took that picture from the Wikipedia article, the Japanese Wikipedia article. Upon looking at that, I realized that these parts here are actually gold. They look kind of reddish, but I think it's just the reflection in the picture. So I went ahead and painted these gold. This is, of course, after I did not video any of this, but one thing I did notice, the back part of the helmet, like all this part down here, is gold in the picture, but I don't know, I kind of like this black. I prefer it black. You know, this is my samurai, I can do what I want to do with him, I guess, and I'm gonna leave it black. I just think it just looks cooler. It actually kind of has an obvious Darth Vader kind of a vibe to it, and to me that means badass. And I'm not talking about that, you know, the wussy Darth Vader crap within the past 5 or 6 years or whatever, but I'm talking about the real Darth Vader. Anyhow, enough of my Star Wars nerdiness. I did attach this sword here, and before that, actually, I realized that this is a scabbard, so I painted that gloss black, and it's like really shiny black. And you can see how the sword kind of, you know, pops out of his back of his jacket. It doesn't really line up though, but at this point, I don't know. You don't really notice it unless you look at it from the top down, I guess. So, sword. Here's the sword. I have determined this must be a katana sword. In '06, I went to the the Japanese Historical Museum in Ueno Park with some friends of mine, and we were musing about, you know, hey, it's interesting how some of the swords are displayed like this, and the other swords are displayed like this. Like, well, why would they, you know, have like the sharp end pointing up and the other one's the sharp end's pointing down? And there was a Japanese man who could speak well enough English, and he was a real historian. He's a real samurai history buff type guy. So he explained to us, tachi are very long swords. The short ones are kotachi, and that's what this guy's wearing right here, is a kotachi, the little small sword. Anyhow, they're much longer, and they would draw them like this, you know, from the scabbard, the sword sheath. They would pull it out like this when they would draw it. So usually they would be on horseback, and when they're going to be slicing at the enemies, they're going to be doing, like, you know, slashes like this. You know, they're going to be on top of the horse, riding the horse, and they're going to be slashing downwards at foot soldiers while they're on top of the horse. Well, the katana is made for like a quick draw, and so, you know, the tachi are always displayed like this. The katana are displayed like this. So when they unsheath the sword, they pull it out and then swing it down like that. So they're just go, you know, in one fell swoop, or one swell swoop, if you will. They would cut their enemy down. So apparently, as he told us, during the battles, they would go out and challenge the enemy, and, you know, brag about their ancestry and blah 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 blah. And this is not something that's really unique. You know, it kind of reminds me of David and Goliath, when Goliath was challenging and intimidating the Israelites in the book of whatever it was. I guess it was the book of Samuel, I guess. Anyhow, so the samurai would be going on this long diatribe about how wonderful his ancestors are, while the guy with the katana could just strike him down, and he doesn't have to listen to him. He can just whack him real quick. So that kind of put an end to that tradition. So the tachi are longer, so it takes longer to pull them out of the scabbard. So anyhow, that's a little bit of a Japanese history for you. So I guess I'm pretty much done with this guy. I can't think of anything else really to do. More experienced people might dry brush the face, I guess, to get a little bit more features out of it, but I'm kind of okay just the action figure-y kind of look he has right now as it is. Just attach his sword to his hand here, so let me just get an idea of how I want to put it. Yeah, I guess he wants to hold it just like that, right? That would be the best. So I wonder if what I should do is just put the glue in his hand first, and then just slide the sword into his hand, I guess. So I got the glue here. I just want to be careful, though. Jeez, you know, maybe I should just put it on the sword, because I don't, you know, if I start slobbering the glue around, it's gonna attack the paint job. I don't want that. So I just need the glue to be on this end of the sword. So let me just dab it right here. Oh, yeah, I could have put a little bit more here. It's gonna be hidden anyways. It shall be obscured. So let me just carefully hold this. There. And he's holding it. He's now finished. There. Well, there you have it. There's the samurai. So, Tim, that's how I would paint this guy. And it's your turn. So, let me show you everything that I have used. So here's everything I used for painting this figure. First is a paint tray. Use anything, doesn't matter. Wide bristled paintbrush. Not necessary, but it makes the application of the primer easier. Small paintbrush and a very fine-tipped paintbrush. And this one actually has a little plastic tube to protect the pointed bristles. Next, I use an emery board. You can use sandpaper as well. Mr. Base White 1000 was the primer. The two enamel paints I used are silver and gold. These are testers, but you know, it's whatever you want to use. Delta Ceramcoat paints, black, red, spice tan for the skin tone, and antique gold for the man's tunic. I used a little dropper here for getting the water out to weaken, to thin out the paint. Also, I used this stuff here, the Tamiya cement, yay. Lacquer thinner. Now I use the lacquer thinner for thinning out this stuff. The primer, I used water, just plain water, tap water, to thin this out. Lastly, top coat. Flat top coat. So there you have it. Model is complete. Yay. Pretty cool. Thanks for watching. So there's one thing that bugs me. Now that I've finished this is left on the runner. This looks like a tassel or something. Does he hold this with his hand? What is this? Is it like a ceiling fan pull chain from the Sengoku period? I have no idea. I guess he must hold this in his other hand, but I don't know what to do with this. So I just kind of left it on the runner and I didn't really do anything with it. So, yeah, if anybody knows what this is for, let me know. Bye.